Welcome to another edition of the BioRN Member2Member session. I'm Stephanie, and today we are broadcasting from the new premises of BioLabs Heidelberg, which is one of the lighthouse projects in the region representing dynamization of the entrepreneurial life science ecosystem. The site is located in the Lab 22 building in the Heidelberg Innovation Park and celebrated its grand opening in October. And I'm very happy to interview Anne-Christine Müller, Site Director at BioLabs Heidelberg. Anne-Christine, thanks for hosting us today.
Thank you. Welcome.
I'm absolutely convinced that the audience is already very excited to get a glimpse of the new premises, as well as co-working laboratory, but even more want to have information about the BioLabs concept, mission and vision, and what entrepreneurs can expect from being part of the BioLabs community. So, Christine, let us start with a short introduction of your person, your career path, and what motivated you to start working at BioLabs and taking over the position as site director.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. Welcome to everybody. Also here in the audience. So happy to take this question. So briefly about myself. So as you correctly said, I'm actually part here at BioLabs of the site operational team. I'm mainly responsible for, the business operation, pipeline building, of course, trying to, embed the BioLabs business concept in the already existing life science ecosystem here in Heidelberg. Before that, I've been actually a researcher myself, working in malaria vaccine research. First here in Heidelberg. I also spent some time outside of Germany in London. I had some research activities in the US. I returned to Germany as a junior group leader, first to Würzburg, and then actually relocating back to Heidelberg, beautiful Heidelberg, here at the University Hospital. I was doing actual research for, oh my God, it's basically 17 years, for almost 17 years. And during that time, I was also founding a spin-off company. So I was actually taking our scientific discoveries from the research, from the bench, basically, to business. And as such, I experienced the fascination and, of course, also the excitement, but, of course, also the challenges and pain points that come with spinning out a research spin-off company. And so when I was first approached, and now let me think, I think this was back in 2020, from BioRN actually, about I think it was joining the Getting a BioLabs to Heidelberg project. I was definitely immediately on fire for this mission, and I can still remember that email actually that approached me, and I was reading it in the middle of the night, and so that was obviously a great experience. And so putting this all basically together, what motivates me to be here now in this position, and basically started basically in the BioRN team, basically to help bringing the BioLabs here to Heidelberg, is that I see BioLabs as something that I, as a researcher and entrepreneur myself, 10 years ago, would have loved to have, right? Enabling young scientists or research scientists to become entrepreneurs. I think this is just an extremely fascinating objective that I'm looking forward to working on this mission together with a great team here in Heidelberg, in our site. But also, and I think this motivates me, I would say, the most with all those inspiring and talented young entrepreneurs working on this cutting edge technologies. And so this is, even though I'm not working as a researcher anymore, I'm still part of it.
So the audience can see and feel, hopefully, the passion Christine's just transporting right now, and as BioRN and BioLabs have a close connection. I did not want to miss the opportunity to get a statement from a friend, a she, and she said, Anne-Christine is incredibly modest about her contribution to the success of BioLabs. For me, She's a shining light of the BioLabs project.
Oh,
Isn't that nice?
thank you very much.
Before we really get started with our question, I'd like to ask you our typical introductory question, Augustine. And I have prepared 2 glasses for you. One of which will become your property, so you have to choose between the 2. How do you want to sweeten up your work day?
So that's a very easy decision for me. I would pick the M&Ms.
Okay.
If you would have asked my boys, 6 and 9, the youngest one would have actually picked the gummies and the other one the M&Ms.
So
thank you. And well, as you know, since BioLabs is a sharing community, I will obviously share this with our resident community and the team.
Great, wonderful.
Thank you.
Now let's talk about the BioLabs Global Network and its founding story that started already 15 years ago in the US. Could you outline a little bit?
Yeah, so the inception, exactly. Yeah, the inception was back in 2010. I think, well, as I'm sure like everybody knows from your great introduction, so BioLabs is kind of like the premier co-working space for life science entrepreneurs, right? And I believe the motivation and the vision basically back in 2010 at that time was to provide like spaces, scalable desks, scalable lab environments for new startups, right? In a time when venture capital was scarce after the 2008 financial crisis. And so it was first, and still is, right, about giving startups the chance basically to grow. But it was also, and it is also about doing this so efficiently, allowing them to focus basically their resources on what they're good at, right? I mean, like the research and development part rather than real estate, right? And so back then, and I would say since then, I think the goal of BioLabs as an international network by now is to change actually how young entrepreneurs or scientific entrepreneurs do business, right? How they actually translate, like their bench findings into business by building, like an ecosystem, right? That empower young entrepreneurs, young scientists to grow quickly. And doing this while maximizing capital efficiency. So it's about de-risking, right? So the membership-based network developed since then. Like since 2010, the network grew across the US, taking this business concept of BioLabs to, like these various life science hubs across the US. So, and nowadays, so as we're sitting here, we have 14 locations where we are operating and we are working in. Majority of those are located in the US, but we have also sites in France and Japan, and of course now here in Germany. So I think we can say that BioLabs is considered being best positioned in the business of driving cutting-edge innovation. And this not only by providing, like labs, right? Wet labs and scalable lab environments and office desks. It's by providing basically a community, right? Programming and an access to a global network, right? That obviously then helps those young entrepreneurs to turn their game-changing ideas into, like therapies, into drugs, into products, basically.
Right. And BioLabs is best positioned, of course, in Heidelberg. So
true.
We just can go back a little bit and just start when was the original
when this happened,
contact, and when did it happen, and who were the initiators?
Yeah, sure. So I think the expansion into Germany and in particular to Heidelberg, I think was best seen and became visible with the groundbreaking ceremony, right? That was back in 2021 already, right? August 2021. And here kudos, shout outs to BioRN who's organizing this, of course, also with the great support of the city of Heidelberg and also the technology park here in Heidelberg. So of course, Professor Würzner, a great supporter of that business concept and bringing this business concept here to Heidelberg. But before the groundbreaking, there was actually a lot of other things happening. And I think it was already back in 2017, 2018, when BioLabs connected with BioRN, or the other way around. So I think it was kind of like a relationship that was initiated back then, based obviously on a joint vision, right? Yeah. So BioLabs actually saw the vibrant Heidelberg life science community as a great start for BioLabs here in the German market. But I believe to that time it was also BioRN, right, that saw the concept of the business concept of BioLabs ideally suited, right, to Heidelberg, as it would eventually fill the gap in the innovation pipeline. Yeah,
right. So again, let's go back a little bit, talking about mission and vision of the global BioLabs network. And I just found a quote of Johannes Frühauf, who's of course everywhere in interviews, and he said, we reduce friction and we increase collisions. So this is probably a central part that we could just focus on when we talk about mission and vision. What does he has in mind?
Great statement, obviously, from Johannes. So I think we do not see ourselves at BioLabs as a mere landlord, right? So of course, what we're offering is lab environments. We build labs, right? For early stage entrepreneurs to grow and focus on their R&D activities. But I think our main vision and goal, and probably this is also reflected in this quote, is that we want to create innovation communities, right, and networks, and that preferably on a global scale, right? So create, inspiring environments for those early stage bio innovators, right, and entrepreneurs. Ignite innovation. I think this is, the term that would best describe it, as well as empowering innovation worldwide, being an international network, right, of shared laboratory spaces. So I think this best describes probably what our vision for BioLabs is. And I should probably also stress here that BioLabs is actually built by scientists and entrepreneurs, right? And it is built basically for scientists and entrepreneurs. So if you as a young company basically join our network, right, our ecosystem, you would most probably find a staff team on site, a site team on site with some experience and like being an entrepreneur. We are entrepreneurs ourselves. Some of us are like scientists. So we have some, first-hand experience, right, with pain points that those young entrepreneurs are faced with, right? And so what sets BioLabs perhaps apart is its strong focus on cooperation, right, and communication and creating a vibrant network of people. And I'm probably tempted to say that like every square meter of every BioLabs tries to support this, that spirit, right? So it's not just about real estate and putting in, desks and benches and perhaps freezers. It's just much more.
Yeah, it's about bringing the community together, and it's wonderful to be part as a BioRN in this community as well. So thank you for this very interesting idea about BioLabs Global. And I would like to move on to the mission and vision for Heidelberg in particular, because I think every mission has to be adapted to the market, probably.
Definitely.
So this is probably something which could, again, be interesting for our audience.
Sure. Well, I think everybody agrees Heidelberg has a very strong research community, right, with excellent science that is happening here in the region, with not just its renowned and traditional, and famous university at the center of this community, but of course many other research famous research and internationally recognized research institutions, making the region, I mean, like a powerhouse for life sciences, right? A powerful life science hub. I mean, like EMBL, German Cancer Research Institute, NCT, the University Hospital, even, right? So while we do have a very well-connected and strong research community here in Heidelberg, its translation into startups, I mean, like its professional translation into startups and therapies that would eventually make it to the patient, right? I mean, like products really, is not yet where it has the potential to be, right? And I believe this is where we at BioLabs actually see our role, right? So where we could perhaps, well, hopefully, right, fill that gap in the innovation pipeline by, I mean, like by nurture and facilitate basically an atmosphere and mindset of translation and entrepreneurial spirit. Because I think we believe that those scalable offices and lab environments take much of the risk of this step, actually making it easier for researchers, for research scientists, and future to be entrepreneurs to take this first step into the venture capital market.
Right. And you also support this step a bit further in your efforts connecting the community to investors.
Yeah.
And as well as a co-organizer of the Life Science Investor Day, just
Yeah.
to make an example here at
Definitely, yeah.
Great, wonderful. So before we deep dive into the topics how BioLabs Heidelberg and the BioLabs will evolve, and to learn more about the offer and how young startups benefit joining BioLabs, let us sneak peek now into the video clip and meet the BioLabs Heidelberg team and see where young startups find a place to grow. So let's go on.
Welcome at BioLabs Heidelberg. I'm Anela Kossi, Site Operation Coordinator. It's great to see you here. Come, I will show you around. This is our main lab. This is where our young startup companies work on their latest innovation. And Heiner is our lab manager, so our main pillar of lab operations. And shall we see what he's up to?
Hi Heiner.
Hey!
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
So Anela just gave us an introduction to BioLabs.
Oh, that's pretty great.
And she told us you are here the lab manager at BioLabs.
That's
so maybe you can tell us a bit about your work here and
Sure. So here we are in the middle of everything from the shared lab. So we see the instruments who are a main part of our shared lab. So everybody can use them when they got a table here in our lab space. And so here is the starting point for each company when they want to join us. You see so many different instruments because each one has a different things to do. So about Western blots, fax machines, pipette robots, everything is included for them. So they can start their R&D action right when they are here. So it's only a few days to set up everything and then they can start. So, and to take care of all the machines and also of the companies are a main part of my job. So I try to support them and help them to have a smoothly start and get directly into the deep of their R&D activation here.
so could you tell us a bit about you and yourself and what you are doing here at BioLabs and why you joined our community here in Heidelberg?
Yes, sure. Yeah, so my name is Martin Stieler and I'm the founder of BioMovis. And BioMovis stands for Biomolecular Visualization. So our ambition is actually to yeah, that every company has easy access to structural biology, and for this we do consultation, we act as a service provider, and we also do training. We show our customers how to crystallize a protein and send it to a synchrotron, or we also have an AlphaFold course, for example. Yeah, and I'm here at BioLabs because of the great infrastructure, the ecosystem, also to work with people having passion for entrepreneurship, and yeah.
And how do you benefit from the BioLabs community here in Heidelberg?
I would say you have a lot of people here that have different backgrounds, and you can interact quite easily with them, so, and it helps you in all aspects of your business.
So here we are on the second floor, and each floor is split into two parts, the lab and the office part. And let's go to the lab part. Here we are in the private area. So we have different versions of lab space. So this is a smaller one for up to 4 to 6 people. And then we have here a bigger one, the large lab, the biggest of our labs. And each one is separated. So only the company who rents the space have access to it. And everything what you can see right now is included in the renting part. So this is what we deliver to the starting company here. And so they have access to their own rooms and can start directly here also in their R&D activity. And I think it's a great place to start your work.
Das Problem ist halt, wenn sich was verändert und du hast die Möglichkeit, es zu gleichen.
Wow. Thanks, I'm Christine, Stephanie, Ornella, and Heiner for giving this great insights. As you can see in the audience, we have a third interview partner with us. It's Andreas from Biologics, one of the BioLab residents here in Heidelberg. Thanks for stepping in, Andreas. It will be exciting to hear from you a bit later how the rather successful journey of Biologics is linked to BioLabs. But first, let me refer again to what we've seen. It's really impressive, Christine, to see this facility with the state-of-the-art equipment. And this is all for the companies and tenants. They can use it for their daily research, right?
Yes.
So this is wonderful. I think this is great.
Exactly, yeah.
That's so. Tell us a bit more about how, apart from the equipped, managed, and licensed lab and office spaces, young biotech lab science can benefit from your network. So this question for you again.
Yeah, so apart from the infrastructure alone, you mean, yeah, sure. So great having you here, and which really reminds me on a, I mean, like this was probably a conversation exchange that I think the two of us had like a couple of days ago, or probably already weeks. I cannot fully remember that, which probably perfectly nicely fits to your question, right? And addresses the question. You came to me like the other day, right, and said, Christine, by the way, I have something to tell you. I feel like BioLabs is a little bit like a research institute. Do you remember?
Yes.
A little bit like a research
Yeah.
institute. So I just basically stepped into a senior scientist of a resident company XYZ, right? Who's actually working on the same cell line that we will be working on. So we can share experiences, we can share, I mean, like ideas, and this is basically it, right? So it is not only about the infrastructure aspect, right, that we are providing. It's, as I've probably said already, it's about collaboration, right? Like it's about connecting people with each other, right? To allow them to share ideas and share perhaps even cell lines, right? And of course, we are not in a research institution. Of course, we are gathering scientists here, right? Great minds, but they are actually doing business now here, right? And so that's the difference, right? And what we actually try to do is we want to, yeah, as I said, we want to connect people, right? We want to connect them with each other in our community on our various sites. So it's about being amongst peers, right? But it's also about bringing in our international network of partners, right? Of executives, of business people, of industry and pharma people, right? That can obviously give those companies access to, I mean, like investments, to, I mean, like research corporations, for example, but also, I think it can also be best described this relationship that we try to build between partners and resident companies as a sort of mentoring program, right? What else? I think you basically just briefly mentioned it before the video. We are also trying to build a strong venture capital community here. Right. And what we are doing for that, actually, with a group of people, including BioRN, Heidelberg startup partners, and of course the Life Science Accelerator here from Baden-Württemberg, to host events, investor events, like the annual Life Science Investor Day, right? And because we feel this is especially important here in the German landscape, because the venture capital scene is still nascent here, right? So what else are we doing with our partners for our resident communities, apart from the infrastructure, is we have a program which is Golden Ticket, called Golden Ticket Program. This is an award given by our strategic partners once a year to a selected company. It can be a resident company, or it can be a prospective resident company. And here this golden ticket grants grant access to the network of BioLabs for a year, including the use of a laboratory bench and an office desk for 1 year, really to I mean, like to start your business basically in our premises, right? And by the way, we have a few golden ticket campaigns that will be launched with our partners beginning of next year. So stay tuned and reach out if you want to actually get more information on that, and follow us on social media. You will hear about that.
Right, and we at BioRN still remember the time when we supported in contacting potential pharma partners, for example. A lot of it was cold calling, and the BioLabs concept had to be explained again and again, but in the end, almost all are now on board, which is a great success, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Much appreciated.
Great. So I think at this stage, I will have to ask Andreas to give us your perspective as a tenant at BioLabs. Probably you can tell a bit about your journey.
Yeah, I can do that.
Wonderful.
So my name is Andreas Ernst. I'm the CEO from and CSO from Biologics, and we are engaged essentially in the engineering of autoimmune, engineering proteins to tackle autoimmune diseases. And my CV is actually quite diverse. So I studied chemistry and became interested in protein engineering during my studies, and did my PhD in Zurich. And from there, I moved to the States for some time, and and also Canada, North America. And when I came back, I started my own group at Goethe University in Frankfurt, where I still live actually. So I'm commuting quite often between Heidelberg and Frankfurt. And there I met my co-founders, and we came up with ideas to create biologics to attenuate the function of T cells. And this is our overall idea. And because Anne-Christine mentioned it, the golden ticket was actually quite helpful for us. So because it gave us access to the network and to the environment here and to the community. And especially at the beginning when we were still at the BDC, it was very, very helpful to talk with people from Anavo, but also facilitate, for example, who were there at the beginning, to really get the place going together with the teams from BioLabs. So this was very helpful, and yeah, and now of course it came to this larger site, and this was very nice. It is very nice.
And I think also like some mentoring, right, from the partner, right?
Precisely. So we were fortunate enough to win a golden ticket sponsored from Sanofi. And here especially I want to thank the people from Sanofi, Heike Wieland, who is the liaison, I believe, to BioLabs and BioRN. And here, of course, it was great because we had access. We could discuss with the scientists at Sanofi to determine actually what are the expectations from such a program in pharma for our program in particular. And so this was very helpful and very supportive also as a golden ticket, and also to help us develop our company.
And I think one of the most important aspects I actually see as being the operational person here on site from BioLabs is that your team actually grew, right? So it's actually what we really want to support, right? So I mean, like you mentioned it, like the operational interim side, like down the road, right? Now to the new building here, but also, I mean, like with headcounts, right?
Yes, a little bit. We were able to grow. Of course, these days we all know that it's very difficult to fund the company, and because of the high interest rates and so on and so forth. So this is a problem we're all facing. And of course, and this is also great about the space here, is that there is always opportunity to grow the company, and the site here is very flexible in these terms.
Sounds like a real perfect role model for the interplay of mechanisms here in the ecosystem. Thank you very much. If you should describe BioLabs in 3 words, what would that be?
Well, 3 words. That's always a tough question. So efficient, well set up, and a great community.
Great. Thank you very much. Right, we're coming almost to an end, so I'd like to bring some questions from the audience in, and let me just check what I have received so far. So it's from Martina, and she asked, how is it possible to use the BioLabs? Is it planned to have also other locations for BioLabs beside Heidelberg? Interesting question, Anne-Christine.
I'm not part of the business development team, but of course there are always ideas, there are always projects for expanding the business model to other locations.
Okay. And I have another question from Katharina. She asks, first of all, thank you very much for the interesting insights. How do you decide about the lab equipment you offer to the startups? Do you also work together with lab innovation startups to test new lab processes, equipment, etc.?
To the second part, not yet, right? But I mean, you could probably best answer that question, right? So we provide basically a setup of, I mean, like quite basic, but also high-end instruments that bioscience startup companies can really start working from the first day onwards, right?
Yeah.
So that helped them kind of like get going from the first day that they are onboarded here in our sites.
Okay.
So it's important to understand that the equipment we've seen in the video, for example, is available for all the companies. So meaning that essentially we don't, as a company, you don't have this high capital expenditure at the beginning of your journey, and so this is very helpful. And of course the setup of the labs is it's quite good. So we have a centrifuge, you have a fridge, a freezer, space in -80 to store samples, access to cell culture, and all these things. And if you would go somewhere else, you would need to build this up first. And here, of course, it's much more. You can be much earlier, be productive in the lab.
Okay.
Yeah, you can focus on really on the
On the
R&D
science,
activities
yes.
and science. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So the last question is from Irene, and she's asking whether you rent any seminar rooms to external companies. I think the video just impressed.
Well, thanks for the question. Well, please reach out, right? We haven't really thought about that, but yeah, we're always open for new avenues.
Okay, so I have a last question, which I found very interesting. How do you enter into dialogue with interested startups? So how is the process?
So typically, like startup companies or like prospective startup companies, they can actually reach out to us on site, but they can also basically apply directly to BioLabs through our webpage. And then I think what we are really we really want to make sure that we get into the dialogue, as you were saying, right away. So when we see, I mean, like an application coming in, we want to actually meet the team, right? We want to understand what are their needs, what is their timeline, right? What they are looking for, right? And so we typically have actually, well, either we invite them to come to the site and stroll around with us, right? See what our services and offering is actually including and what we're trying to build here in Heidelberg. Meet other resident companies perhaps and get into a dialogue, or we just meet and greet them basically in a video meeting, right? And so this is typically, I mean, like of mutual interest. We understand what they are doing, but they also understand what we are doing, right? So and that's the typical way, right? And then we have a selection committee, right? That is typically consisting of like I mean, like our strategic partners, pharma partners, operations, some of the operations team colleagues from other sites, right? And then we just basically listen to their business concept, right? They pitch and then we decide whether, I mean, like this is a good fit basically for our concept.
Right.
For us, the connection to BioLabs came actually through BioRN.
Yes.
So that's another way of becoming a resident here.
Definitely. So to the audience, you can
Being our founding sponsor.
Right. Okay, thank you so much for giving us this portrait, shedding light on the many different fields and application. To close back a bit on you, Andreas and Ann-Christine, how does one of your typical days look like?
Meetings.
Meetings.
Meetings, emails, and for me as a CEO, I have, of course, multiple CSO, multiple hats on. So a little bit of lab work. I wish it could be more, and but it is what it is. So that's typical my day, typical for my day. Actually.
Okay. Hi, Christine. Perhaps very similar. You see me most of the time sitting in our various meeting rooms, right? So we have obviously like, and it's about basically bringing the concept to a new market, right? So you need to really, you need to interact, right, with different stakeholders, but also, as I just basically said, like meeting new prospective companies or doing mentoring activities and talking to our partners, catch up with them on the various things, but also helping, I mean, like our great team on site with, I mean, like the daily operations.
Bringing the community together.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Before closing, you have the chance, Christine, to nominate a member for one of our next M2Ms. Who and why? Who can it be and why?
This is a really easy question. Biologics.
Great.
Okay.
That's wonderful. So we can come back in this wonderful place. That's great.
You can leave the setup.
Yeah. But
Okay.
not the video clip.
Good. Then we need to. I need to be briefed what it entails. What this means for us. Okay.
It's biologics, wonderful. Looking forward to that. Thank you so much for this interview. I hope you and the audience enjoyed it. This interview will be soon available on the website, of course, and let me announce the next M2M meeting or session. It will take place on January 16th. It's a special edition under the label People Shaping the Life Science Region with Julia Schaft, talking with Oliver Stekle. Stay tuned on our website. Have a wonderful Christmas season. Thank you for joining us and bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay.